Hey, Slangers. Welcome back to another episode of Hang Out with Your Slang Out. I'm Matt.
And I'm Dan.
And this week's word is going to make you question things. It's going to make you think that something funny's going on, that maybe you don't know everything about the current situation, that maybe that guy over there, we'll call him Dan, that there's something not quite right about him. And you can't figure out what it is.
Is it my magic hands?
It might be his magic hands.
Spirit fingers?
It could be his spirit fingers. But more likely, it's just that he's super sus.
So I suspect that you're not a fan of sus.
No, I'm not a fan of sus. I'm a fan of the song Suspicious Minds.
Really?
Yeah, who's not a fan of that song?
This guy right here.
Oh, well, this is awkward. I'll be looking for a new co-host.
Who apparently fawns over Elvis.
You'll have to bring your own equipment.
Really?
And also my own equipment.
You're an Elvis guy? You like Elvis?
I don't dislike Elvis.
I dislike Elvis.
Really?
Yeah. Never got it. I get young Elvis. I understand that.
Okay,
But
sure.
old Elvis is very sus.
Old Elvis made it possible for you to be alive.
I don't
know if the
know
math-
my grandma?
I don't know if the math checks out on that, but I'm thinking that your parents might have gone to see him in Vegas at some point. Weren't that far away.
Elvis? No.
You just don't want to believe it would happen.
No, we didn't move here till...
Text your mom right now.
We didn't move here till like 79, 80.
Let's find out.
What time did he die? He died like in 70...
I want to say he died after I was born. Like literally right after. 8:14 a.m. on February 25th, 1980.
So you have like an emotional, spiritual bond with Elvis.
No, I just wanted to prove I knew what time I was born.
All right. He's always trying to prove stuff like that.
That nobody cares about.
Yeah, he died in 77.
Oh, all right, fine.
See, he just makes shit up for this podcast. That's a little sus if you ask me.
Whoa.
So our word sus, this episode, first thoughts of it, it's a shortened version for, I don't know, suspicious. As you said, suspicious minds.
Or suspect. And I honestly feel like suspect's a fun word to use, so I hate that they shortened anything to sort of replace it.
Yeah,
I like saying things are suspect all the time.
that's true.
Like the fact that we have our own podcast, kind of suspect.
Yeah, very suspect. To me, like, this is one of the few words, even though I'm not crazy about it, it kind of makes sense to just say sus when you're doing this. I guess, I mean, like how totally you would do totes, which I hate with a raging passion. And I guess this is the same thing, but it doesn't rub me the wrong way that bad.
Is it because it's new and you didn't have to use it or hear it in its infancy?
That's probably exactly it. Wow. Look at him just like totally mind game me right there.
Hey, check, mate.
Was that like $100 an hour?
I was just sussing out what the reason could be for your being okay with sus and not being okay with totes.
Did you just drop sussin?
Yeah. Different sus, but yes, I did.
All right. So do you agree with it? You'd agree that, sus being short for something strange or something suspicious makes sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, using sus instead of suspicious makes sense because
Mhm.
suspicious is a long word and obviously difficult to say since I just tripped over it trying to give you this explanation. But
Which he never does. He's pretty smooth on his feet.
but from what I can tell, it also replaces suspect, and that's stupid.
You just like suspect.
I don't like all things suspect. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, I was afraid we were going to get there. Should I give the listeners a little background?
I don't know if I give them a background, but maybe a warning that they might want to turn their radios down for the next 2 minutes. Are people still listening to things on the radio? Don't worry about it.
I don't know if we have any listeners who are familiar with the band Highly Suspect. They opened for one of my favorite bands the other day, and I had the pleasure of bringing my co-host here, Matt, and he got to experience a new band.
Let me tell you some things about Highly Suspect. The name is apt. I will tell you that much, because their grasp of talent in music is highly suspect. And I know when you go to a show, the opening acts aren't supposed to be as good or better than the headliner. That makes sense. And we were seeing Muse. Nobody was going to be as good as the headliner anyway. Or very few bands would be as good as the headlining band. I literally rather have seen a local high school marching band in the opening act over highly suspect.
You know, I'll be the good cop, bad cop, or I'll be devil's advocate. They have some good songs.
I'm sure there are songs that are good. They just don't play them well.
Yeah, that's the hole in my argument, because they have a couple good songs, but they did not sound
That's
good live.
a hole in your argument.
It's a big old hole.
I'm not calling you a hole, but
ice hole?
Fargan ice holes. No, it's just they weren't good. And maybe, you know what? I'll play devil's advocate.
All right.
Maybe we got them on a really bad night.
I did figure this out. I was watching the footage back, and Evanescence, who was the middle band, Amy Lee from Evanescence, she mentions on stage, which I didn't hear during the time, that she said that's their first show on that tour, which would explain a lot. But I have to admit, I saw Highly Suspect probably about 5 or 6 years ago. They opened for 30 Seconds to Mars.
And 150 pounds ago.
Yeah. And they weren't any better then. They were brand new then, but it didn't seem like they grew.
See, but them opening for 30 Seconds to Mars, no offense, Jared Leto, but that seems like a lot more in line with who they should be opening for instead of like Muse.
30 Seconds was pretty good. And we don't need the echelon coming after our ass. That's like the Swifties.
Fair. But here's the thing. All I'm saying is, like, Evanescence being before Muse, that's fine.
That makes sense.
You could have gotten a band that was less than Evanescence, but still really good to also open up that show. And from the same time frame, because like Evanescence has been around a while. Like, they're not as new as Muse, but somebody would still be excited to go see them.
They could have just got DJ Suspect.
This isn't like the first time that I saw Foo Fighters. When I didn't even go to see them, I went to see one of the opening bands.
Yeah.
It was the first time that Stone Temple Pilots broke up, and the band formed a new band called Talk Show. And I was a huge Stone Temple Pilots fan. And so I was like, I'm never going to get to see them again because Scott's got a real drug problem. And I just feel like they're going to be broken up forever. That he just totally Yoko Ono'd it. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go see Talk Show. And then a Foo Fighters concert broke out, and I've been a fan ever since.
Yeah. Well, you touched on something there. I think there's a big drug aspect to Highly Suspect, or there used to be. They're one of those bands, I think, that used to wear that like a badge of honor.
So I went to see, and I'm sure I was the only person at Bill Graham Civic Auditorium who went to see Talk Show over Foo Fighters. But Lord help me, I can't imagine that anybody went to that concert with the intention of seeing Highly Suspect, only to get lucky enough to see Muse and even Evanescence after them.
I don't know. There's always fans, but I was surprised that
family. I think the word you were looking for was family. I think there's always family, and they probably showed up to the show.
Yeah, that's sus right there.
Do you think Amy said that it was their first show on the tour, 1, because they were bad, or 2, because it was their first and last show on the tour? Can we get anybody from the Vegas or Oakland shows to let us know whether they continued?
Maybe Amy says that every tour.
Amy says that about all the opening bands.
Yeah. Every show, she's just, she's the buffer. She's making sure everybody's all right.
She's toured with the same band for 60 straight shows and always says it's their first night.
Yeah, it was a great show. Muse blew our minds. We could probably talk for 3 hours about just how amazing that show was from top to bottom. Evanescence was great.
Their level of talent wasn't sus, that's for sure.
I already had so much respect for them musically, but to see them do it live and do it better than on what they've recorded was mind blowing. And then you put the stage presence that they had, and the light show, and the sound and the atmosphere. They just hit on all cylinders.
Don't forget the fire.
And fire, lots of fire.
Indoors. Some would say unsafe.
Yeah. Are any of those people here right now?
No, I wouldn't say unsafe.
All right, there we go.
I'm just saying some would say that.
Yeah. But the opening band, Highly Suspect, I will not go after him as much as my buddy here, Matt, will.
I feel like you already have a soft spot for him.
I really don't. I actually like 1 or 2 of their songs a lot, and they even played one of them, and it made me sad because I don't want it to be that way when you're listening to a song. And I'm good with good with stuff being raw and being live.
Everybody goes bad eventually, though. Like maybe they were good at one point. Like, have you heard Axl Rose lately?
I try not to.
Well, but you get my point. Like
Fat Axl.
Even okay. So maybe Highly Suspect was never. Maybe good is a strong word for it, but they could have been better than this at some point, and time has caught up with them, and not in a friendly way.
Time? They're like 27.
Okay, I'm just trying to make excuses for what I was forced to see. That's all.
So he has this boiling rage. He's just he's not letting it out. I got to get it out of him.
No,
it's called therapy.
Yeah, but it's not fair.
True.
To have to watch them play live in front of you. It was so bad. And you know what? We're probably going to get some hate. I'm sure we have like one fan out there that
I think they're pretty well liked. I was surprised they actually had
a Highly Suspect song or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, maybe we should turn it back to the actual word sus. No, he wants to hold on to the hate.
No, it's fine.
I have a feeling it won't be the last time we bring up that concert.
No, and for the record, like we're definitely going to have a lot of bands that don't let us go to their shows just because of how we talk on this podcast. And so,
well, it's just because if we start talking about the ones we like, that would outweigh the negative.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, you're too sus to do that. Did I use that right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you used it in replacement of suspect instead of suspicious.
Well, I have a list of all our words, and my daughter actually came in and she actually added shiesty onto there.
Shiesty?
Yeah. Sus is shiesty, yes.
But that's using slang to define slang.
Which is your favorite thing in the world, isn't it?
It's terrifying because now that means we have a whole new episode. Now we have to do an episode on shiesty.
Sus equals shiesty.
Oh, man. When worlds collide, am I right?
Highly shiesty? New band name?
Yes. Highly shiesty. Opening for Muse. You know what isn't sus? Royal Crown Cola.
The RC?
The RC indeed. And oddly, their diet isn't RC. Do you know what it is?
Do they have a diet RC?
No. It's called Diet Right.
I never even
knew that they were related.
Yeah.
Weird, right?
How do you know that?
How do you not?
Well, I do know now. And now everybody knows. All 13 listeners know.
Yeah. And knowing is at least 50% of the battle.
Yeah. I guess you could say that.
Okay, so we know what we have to say about sus. What does our favorite internet resource have to say about sus?
The old Urban Dictionary, the UD as we like to call it. And we have to get sponsored by these guys because we sure are using them.
We just have to not be shut down by these guys.
True. All right. Urban Dictionary has brought up sus. Only took a couple seconds.
It also apparently brought up hashtag sus because it's so not a word that it needs a hashtag in front of it, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even notice that. It did. Sus means that someone is doing something weird or suspicious. Sus. Giving the impression that something is questionable or dishonest, suspicious. This word gained popularity with being the catchphrase in the online multiplayer game Among Us. Oh, I love that game. I didn't realize that's why it caught on. Did you ever play that one?
No.
It's actually a fun game. And you basically team up with your buddies. And you have to lie. You get picked if you're going to be the killer. So it's basically you're on a spaceship and then you got to kill people when you can. And then everybody meets in a room after somebody dies and you try to figure out, you all vote who you think the suspect is who murdered somebody. And then
so it's Space Clue?
Kind of. And then you kick them out into the space. And if you find there's usually 3 suspects. If you find all of them.
3 susses.
3 susses. Then you win. If you don't, then they win. And it's brutally funny because if you watch, you can go YouTube some videos of it. And it's just friends, companions, family members, just absolutely angry at each other because of the lies that get told. The shystiness of the game.
I think them stealing Clue and making it a space video game is sus in and of itself.
Clue was a pretty fun game. I haven't played that in a while. Us.
I don't know if this is like actually quantifiable, but apparently it's the favorite word of over 99% of Among Us players.
Yeah, and they capitalized it right there.
Yeah, that's how you know it's real.
A short term used by Among Us kids. So now they named the kids actually Among Us Kids.
Among Us Kids, good band name.
No, I don't like that one. You can have it. It's too sus for me.
Fair.
But basically, it's an imposter, suspicious. Basically, what it sounds like it would be.
I actually want to give a shout out to the name of the person that submitted that one, the master of all hot definitions. Because if there's one word that I use to refer to a definition of a word, it's hot.
Yeah. Fire. Slaps. Nut. We're going to get to nut. I'm going to take you to nut.
Please don't.
The master of all hot definitions. That's you, isn't it?
It is.
Just admit it. It's got beard written all over it.
Oh, here's one that can't possibly be right. The scientific definition for pig. But wait, there's a conversation in this one. Blue, you are sus. Red, I ain't no pig, bruh. Ooh, here's another good one. Here's why I like these, is because eventually you get to the ones that are so ridiculous you can't help but read them.
Yeah.
The Swedish translation of the word swish. I can't stand the fact that almost everyone in Among Us just have said the word sus, and I thought they were speaking Swedish.
Well, sus, since it's pretty simple and pretty basic, and usually we have words that can branch out different directions, mean a bunch of different things. This is pretty locked into one kind of idea. Is there anything off the top of your head that you find sus? Besides, it's highly suspect having fans and a record contract.
I mean, that is sus in its highest form.
I find the fact that RC Cola's diet is called Diet Right. That's a little sus.
Yeah.
Do we know why?
People wearing wooden shoes, that's sus.
Ugh. That's gross.
Yeah, just think of the bacteria, man. What else do I find sus? Canned water. I'm learning to enjoy it, but I feel like canning a fairly natural resource is weird. So I guess I should extend it to bottled water also, but then when you think about it, it always tastes so much better than the stuff that you can get.
I have to stop you right now, you bastard. As I take a drink out of my liquid death can, sponsor, hint, hint. It is fabulous. There's nothing suspect about this.
You know what is suspect about it is that it's called liquid death. Like literally, they tell you the water is the source of life.
Mm-hmm.
And they are going completely 180 from that.
No.
Oh, you know what's sus? Is people saying taking a complete 360. That puts you in the same place, you Nimrod.
An absolute circle.
It's complete 180. That way you're going the other way.
Who says
That's
360?
So many people.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually haven't heard that.
You know, when I was a kid, I used to say, instead of I know it like the back of my hand, I said I know it like the back of my head, because I thought it meant that you didn't know it. And why would you know what the back of your head looked like? Because it's on the back of your head.
You were way too smart of a child, because I would have never thought of that. I would have just thought I would have said that by mistake. You actually had a reason to say that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's sus.
And here we are with me hosting a podcast. Co-hosting a podcast.
Co-hosting.
Sorry.
That's a little suspect. How did he jump right to hosting? Has this become the Among Us of podcasts?
Yeah, it might have been.
Oh my goodness. I don't know, guys. Hashtag.
In Among Us, could you kill anybody with a lead pipe in the library?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did, what's his name? Tim
Curry?
Yeah, was Tim Curry in Among Us?
I wish.
Oh.
Don't tell me you're not a fan of Tim Curry.
No, I am a fan of Tim Curry. I'm just sort of disappointed that he wasn't in Among Us.
Because that guy's friggin' royalty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I will fight any man about Tim Curry.
That's an awkward way of putting that, but I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. It's a little sus.
Yeah. He's golden in Clue. He's just absolutely amazing in Clue. He's amazing in everything he did, though.
Mm-hmm.
Pennywise. He was the devil in Legend with your favorite, Tom Cruise.
Wait, did you say my favorite Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
When did he become my favorite?
I don't know. You've brought him up a few times in your episodes.
Is it because of his tooth weirdly located in the middle of his face?
I was waiting for it. It was coming.
Tom's great. He's made a lot of movies I like, so it's not like I dislike the man.
That is true. And he'll shut our ass down in a heartbeat.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're probably already shut down. If you're still listening, I don't know how you bootleg this, but kudos to you.
Yeah.
Good sir or madam.
Yeah. Because if there's anything that's as good as anything Tim Curry's done, it's the new Top Gun movie that just came out.
That's what's sus. How are we still making episodes and we haven't been shut down by any of the people we've insulted yet?
Maybe we've got to try harder?
Maybe.
Ooh, hang out with your slang out. Try harder.
Let's hang out with Slang Out 2.
I didn't put the 2 on there.
Try harder while lost in New York.
There we go.
Oh, you know what's sus? Is Flanders being over 60 years old, but having a weirdly grotesque amount of muscle.
He's 60 years old?
Over 60. No, I think in one of the episodes he turned 60. Yeah.
I thought he was like 40. That mustache can't be 60.
Mustache and everything. It's all 60.
Came out with that mustache on.
Left hand of God.
That is sus. I don't know. You got any stories from The Simpsons that would match sus?
Yeah, I was trying to think about it when I came up with that reference, and yes, probably, but I don't know. I mean, it's kind of sus that, George H.W. Bush moved across the street to a city that has no state in a country that he had just been president of.
All right. I'm lost now.
What? Do you not remember that episode?
No.
Oh. So George Herbert Walker Bush moves across the street from The Simpsons and quickly develops a rivalry with Homer.
As anyone would.
Yes. But they find out that he's moving in while they're having a block sale. It's where Homer sings, table five.
It's happened, people. Ooh. We finally got him to sing on this podcast.
Better than that, it's where Disco Stew finds his jacket. Well, no, Disco Stew's buddy finds a jacket for Disco Stew, who then refuses to wear it. Why? Do you remember?
I don't even remember Disco Stew.
Okay, that's embarrassing, and we may need to cancel this podcast. But
is that sus?
That is sus.
Crap.
But he finds a jean that at one point on the back of it had bedazzled Disco Stud, but the D fell off. And his buddy goes, Stu, this jacket's got your name on it. And Disco Stew says, Disco Stew does not advertise.
That's comedy gold right there.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, and so then they're having this block party, and then big trucks and who are the people that protect the president? Secret Service.
Yeah.
They show up and they're moving him in across the street. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden a disagreement breaks out between Homer and George H. Dub. And hilarity ensues.
Yeah, I totally don't remember that episode.
But getting back to it, yes, very suspect that a former president would just move into a normal street in nowhere America across from a very poor family. Well,
they're not that poor.
They're not that poor, but they're made to be not that well off either.
I got a question on The Simpsons.
Okay.
They don't age, right?
Right.
So technically we've been watching 40 years of the same year?
It's an interesting question, right? Because they've had over 600 episodes.
Yes, that's a long ass year.
Yeah, it's that means there are 2 episodes per day of a year, which can't possibly be the case.
No, I guess we're not supposed to think that. That's suspect right there.
Sure, sus. You mean?
Yeah. Did you ever watch the cartoon Gravity Falls? It's a little newer.
No, I've heard of it, but no.
It's done really well. It's real clever. But there's 3 or 4 seasons, and every episode's literally the next day. So they did that. It's a couple seasons, I think, they take place at a summer for one summer at a camp.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's right up your alley. I think you would like it. I think the guy who actually invented it and writes it, because he's moved on to something new, he was totally influenced by The Simpsons. You could tell that he's the next generation of animators and writers that would have came up after watching The Simpsons. easily. Same with like the guys from Rick and Morty.
Yeah, but Rick and Morty is more outrageous. Rick and Morty feels like it's a person that watched The Simpsons but also watched Family Guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything needs to be just ridiculous enough. Well, it could have been that they watch Simpsons and Futurama, but Futurama, like Rick and Morty, is set in a world that doesn't exist, so it's allowed to be completely ridiculous.
Think about how tame Simpsons and Futurama is compared to the stuff that they grew up with. Just comedy wise, like you said, like Family Guy, or like, do you watch Archer?
Yeah, of course I've watched Archer. Who doesn't love H. John Benjamin?
Yeah, pretty funny.
You know what's not sus? His talent. You know what is sus? Is a guy that looks like that portraying a spy.
Yeah, he's
like
not
a handsome spy. Like no offense, H. John, but your voice is what got you there, bud.
Yeah, he'd be the first to say. I mean, he makes Bob from Bob's Burgers look good.
He has what I liked. Yeah, he does kind of, right?
Yeah.
He has what I like to call, and what I have been called before, a voice for radio and a face for radio.
He's pretty talented. You hear that voice, and
oh yeah,
he's pretty locked in, and he's
hilarious.
Yeah,
I don't think like all of it's the writing. Like a lot of it is the writing, but the way that he uses inflection to make the joke funny.
Yep, that's half of it.
Comedy gold.
Yeah, there's nothing sus there.
No,
we'll have to do an episode on Bob's Burgers. I love Bob's Burgers.
Yeah,
we're thinking about dressing up as Bob and
Linda.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Such a big fan.
We're going to dress up as Bob and Linda for Halloween.
That would be hilarious.
I just don't want to shave my head.
Are the kids going to dress up?
I wish. You seen how pretty my kids are. They wouldn't want to.
Young Jaden could have totally been Gene, though.
Oh, my goodness.
He's grown out of it. But he could have been Gene.
Yeah, way out of it.
Maybe Guillermo can be Gene.
Guillermo is my new Frenchie that I got for Christmas. He's, as of this podcast, he's 5 months old.
That's short for French Bulldog.
I'm bougie. If
he didn't adopt a small French child and name it Guillermo, just for the record.
French child with a Hispanic name. That's exactly something I would do.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. And I only speak to him with my Australian accent.
Crikey.
Shrimp on the bobby. That
was like, you didn't even.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
No. Because I can only do that one line. And I don't even do it really well. You ready?
Yeah, go.
Maybe the dingo ate your baby. Yeah, I've lost it. It's gone. That is sus.
That's sus.
How do you lose an Australian accent?
You can't lose it if you never had it.
Harsh but true.
Right. Maybe the dingo ate your baby.
Look at him showing off. That's suspect. That's why we keep him around here. That's why he makes the big money.
Out of the two of us.
Yeah. It's not the words. It's not coming up with these words like sus and suspect and suspicious. It's that.
To be fair to the English language, we did not come up with the words suspect or suspicious.
The mystery has been solved. Sus is not that suspect after all.
No, not as suspect as I thought it would be. I was really preparing to hate that word, but it turns out I just hate the band.
Yeah, you just hate the band Highly Suspect. Should we bleep that out?
What, hate? I think we're allowed to use that word. I know it's a 4-letter word and everything, but I think we're allowed to use it.
Yeah, we usually end these on love.
Oh, you meant
hate's a good word.
You meant band. I'm pretty sure we're able to use that too.
All right, slangers. It's another fun episode. As always, I love my bearded buffoon co-host. He loves my magic spirit fingers.
Who doesn't love magic spirit fingers?
Well, that's a little suspect.
Oh, that's super sus.
Very sus. Enjoy your liquid death, canned water, and the newest Highly Suspect record.
Or your Royal Crown Cola. Peace out, slangers.
You got an intro or an outro?
I think I've got an intro.
Okay.
You got an outro?
I was just going to bullshit an intro, but go for it.
Well, no, let's hear your intro first.
Dude,
just so I can show you how it's done after you're done.
after you cock block me like that. Cock block.
Shrimp on the barbie.